out. All of the brakes, screws out. Screws out. All of the brakes, screws out. We gotta have a good time.
The following is a presentation of iRacing on PTR TV. We'd like to thank all of our channel partners for their support. Please like and subscribe to the channel, and we hope you enjoy today's broadcast.
You know, we call this track a lot of things. Petite Le Mans, Road Atlanta, a scary time, a track that I definitely do not know how to drive. But I can tell you nonetheless, riding on board right now with Eric Wineland, this is a track that produces a lot of great racing, and a track that I've already been warned, cold tires are a nightmare for GT3. So when I get that info before a race, it tells me things are going to be good. Welcome everybody here to Elbows Out Racing, where we are in for the next round of the series. It's we've been going for a while here at this point, so I've already lost track of round numbers. I'm going to double check myself and make sure that I call this one correctly here. And this is going to be round number... This is the Trip, Flip, and Falls. I can tell you that much. Here, brought to you by IDI. And this is round number 9. Big thank you to Dwight Hibbs in the background for saving the hind end of the broadcaster, who's been doing this long enough. He should know what he's doing, but he doesn't. And it's fine. It's Brad here in the booth, joined as always by Patrick. Patrick, good evening, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing absolutely fantastic for the obvious reason of, I'm back here with you in the commentary booth for Elbows Out Racing. Like I said, round number 9. It's a very tricky track to kind of navigate. A lot of ways to go ahead and just lose the car, especially like you were talking about earlier with the GT3s and cold tires. Not exactly playing nice here, so I think this is going to be a really tricky race today for the drivers in all 3 classes, honestly.
That it is, and of course we are setting up on our grid here for our 60-minute races, as our tradition here at Elbows Out. If you have not been to an Elbows Out race before, well, I definitely recommend that you enjoy and join. We're glad to have you here. If it's your first time here, make sure you like and subscribe and ring the bells. Do all the fun things here to support us. We're on the road for 1,800 subscribers. Just need a little bit of help to get there. And hey, you never know, you could be number 1,800. And with that being said, let's go ahead and run down here. We're going to get a full pace lap for once, which is not normal here. And as the drivers get their correct paint schemes on, we are going to go through our PTR TV starting lineup here with LMP2s kicking things off, and no surprise, it's the return of the Mac up to the front with Antonio Costa there to his side, Cody Perodato in P3, and Malik Bass in 4th, Hugo Ortiz P5, Eric Wineland in P number 6. From there, it's Luke Patrick, Bob Carey, and this is a horrible time for things to freeze up the way that they just decided to. So, yeah, just a little behind the scenes for those of you who are unfamiliar. I've been having a little bit of random PC issues here and there, and I thought I had it fixed. Now I don't. Patrick, I'm sure you can attest to this. Minor technical errors are never the best thing to have.
And they always appear at the most unfortunate times, too. It's always when you absolutely need them is when they decide to go ahead and break. I went to college for game design, and I cannot tell you how many times I've had software programs, and even entire projects just break the moment you absolutely needed them the most. But hey, I mean, that's just part of the industry. That's part of the job. I mean, if you do anything remotely technical, you're going to run into these kind of tech issues every so often. So it just tends to happen.
It's so much fun when it does happen, though. Now, here we go. Let's actually get your full screen grid up here really quick as things are going, and as that's going through, we're going to get things moving and grooving here. So again, Matt, Costa, Perodato, Bass, Ortiz, Wineland, Patrick, Hagen, Bob Carey, your 9 LMP2s. Let's hit GT3 Pros really quick and take a look at them. It's Chris Daniel who is leading the way in GT3 Pros, with Peter Nodwell in 2nd, Paul Nye Sr., Max Poe 3rd and 4th, Chris Stewart, Julius Machewski 5th and 6th. And I'll tell you right now, Paul Nye is wondering if his luck is going to turn around this week. We're going to find out. Tyler Cook, Brian Medley, John McLuhan, Zachary Nerney, Tyler Stenick, Callan Tobin, Colin Bourdon, Mike Sermon, Joel Bandera, Emily Milkey are the rest of the pros. In the AM category, we have as follows: Lanton, Chiapuzzo, Vasselman, O'Grady, Bechtel, McGuire, Murphy, Wedderburn, Hibbs, Ondera, Woodmansee, Moore, Nebel, Panero, Toppin, Santerciero, Hemperly. That is your full grid of 42 drivers who are pushing my PC to the max here. As the GT3s go through the backstretch here, the LMP2s are right on the back of the safety car here, and I'm going to go ahead and say we're going to spend a lot of time watching GT3s today here once LMP2s get through and around. Do you have a pick for a race winner, Patrick, real quick before we get going?
I'm just going to go with consistency here, and I'm going to say it's going to be Cody Peredato taking the win. He's got a very good track record this season, and yep, that's my prediction for LMP2 Victor.
That's probably a safe bet as we come down through 10A, 10B, and we're going to hit the main stretch here to get going. We'll go through points. We'll go through all the fun things here in a minute, but we are underway here in Elbows Out Racing for round number 9 here going through, and it's a great start from Eric Mack. It's a great start from everybody there in the background as they get going. LMP2s are going to make it through the first couple of corners going side by side. Not too much of a problem there for them as they make their way through, and now it's GT3's turn to get going. Chris Daniel with a great takeoff here going through, and that's going to bring around everyone else behind, going single file around through, up and down, all the way around they go. Jonathan Lanson leading off the GT3 AMs as he comes through here. Colin Bourdon a little bit further back, bringing his way through, and all of the drivers managing to almost get their way through. I see a little bit of bodywork there, and I believe that is going to be Eric Wineland who has lost the front end. Big time damage there for Eric Wineland.
Yeah, it's not a great start for Spike there. I mean, it looks like even one of those tires, that front right looks extremely bent for the number 2 car. Just unfortunate there. Wonder exactly what happened. We did talk about cold tires on the GT3s being an issue, but I'm sure they were also pretty tricky to navigate for these LMP2s as well. And I mean, weight reduction is a very nice thing when it comes to racing, but there's definitely a better way to do it. And I'm sure steering is going to be very tricky with how, oh, he just spun on his own. Yep, so there's the cold tires. Collision with the wall. Spike broke his snout there just a bit, and I mean, he's lucky that I didn't do more damage, but yeah, it's really not a good time and a really rough start to his race.
A very, very rough start to his race there, unfortunately, but that is sometimes what you risk as you go through coming around all the way through, but he is gonna unfortunately get his way into the pits, and that will set his way through. We'll see how his race continues through. Eric back up front here. Let's check in with him as he's gotten going. Not too much of a problem for him. He is looking pretty good here, I have to say, running his way along up in the front. And doesn't look like he's getting too much pressure here from Costa or Peredato behind. They're just keeping consistency. I see some things changing here. That is going to be Max Poe, who has big front damage and dropped his way down the leaderboard. I was trying to come up with a joke right off the fly. Very clearly couldn't. What happened to Max Poe? I don't have a good answer for you.
Yeah, we're going to have to pull the replay and see what happened there. Now, we know Max Poe does have some really strong pace. He's shown it through several different races of the season that Max Poe is a driver that can compete, and he has been very strong. But this track, if you just look at a simple track map, you would think that, oh, this is a pretty easy track. But we can see that if you've actually driven this track, you know that it is anything but easy. It is known as Petit Le Mans for a reason, and lots of stuff going on here. Chris Stewart looks like he had a moment too. How does he not hit anyone? Oh boy, he got hit in the rear end there after that moment with Jim McCollin, I believe is one. And Max Poe just ran off on his own terms. And Mustangs aren't exactly meant to rally, so that's and there's a lot of cars involved in this. Here's Daniel Pinero as well, getting a big slide on his own. We were told early on that cold tires on this track were suboptimal, and we are definitely seeing that. Here's another spin from Maxwell Woodman C, and man,
I'm gonna give Woodman C one more.
This track.
Okay, that's what I thought his car was.
I had to do a double take.
All right, back to live pictures. The Lizard has survived. We're back live pictures here. Up front, Eric Mack, Antonio Costa, Cody Peredato continue along. This is going to be a challenging race for us to cover just because drivers are going to be struggling to keep it together here as they go through. Oh, what is this battle? Stiddick, Nerney, Tobin, Bourdon. What world are they doing going into turn 10?
a Jaguar cars there for certain. Yeah, that could have ended very badly, but these drivers, once again, are so talented and there's so much respect, and especially because we're well into the latter stages of the season, soon to be in the final quarter of races here, as we are on we're in race number 9 out of 12. So in the last 4 races, I mean, these drivers have been with each other for 8 races previously, so they've gotten kind of used to how each other's drive. So that's always a tricky thing. It's something that you notice during the start of the season, drivers trying to get acclimated to how each other drive. But now at this stage, they're knowledgeable enough about how everybody drives and their opponent's driving styles to give them that respect. And we see some side-by-side action here with Colin Bourdon, I think, getting the better of it, but he's still under a lot of pressure there from Callan Tobin. This is a very beautiful battle here, but that Mercedes straight line speed is seemingly helping it out pretty nicely here, as we are just over 5 minutes into this race.
That we are only 5 minutes in, 55 minutes left to go. Plenty of time left for drivers to get these races going different ways around this 12-corner circuit. It's 12 corners, and there's a corner A and B. Turn 10 A and B, which don't get me started on that, please, as we come through turn 12 down the front stretch we go here. Colin Bourdon still trying to chase down Zachary Nerney, and yes, that is actually Zachary Nerney in the bottom. He's my guinea pig for this, so Zach and his cat have decided to be our guinea pigs for some new broadcast graphics, and very clearly it's working out. So drivers, if you're watching this after the fact, if you want to get your picture added, send me a DM, and we'll talk about how to do it here. As Bourdon, Tobin, and Nerney are not done. Nerney blocking, setting the bus up. Colin Bourdon's going to force his way through, though, and it's Mercedes versus Mercedes with a Mustang in tow, and Callan Tobin there in the Team Mustang is going to make his move through around the outside. Can he get that Ruger Mustang to stick around the Coke Zero, the unsuperior Coke, going through the inside, side by side again through 6 and 7 they go. Now they're going to bring it down through turn number 8 into 9, and as they go up the hill, down the hill, still side by side, it's a drag race, AMG versus Ford Mustang, and who wins it? Well, at the moment, in through turn 9, it is the AMG, who is just slightly ahead there in the Fost Racing.
And I mean, this is a really good defense here from Zachary Nerney. Callan Tobin is definitely no pushover here. He has made some very aggressive moves here throughout the season, and in that Ruger Mustang, you know he's going to take any opportunity to go ahead and get a pass done. Now, there's some really good diving spots, but he is going to get super close, wait till last minute, and try to make the move up the inside of turn 1. Doesn't quite get it. Oh, sorry, that was turn 12. Actually, so now they're going into turn number 1, and I mean, this track in general is a very tricky track to really get passes on. Really, the only good spot to get a good pass on is that 1,275 meter long straight from turn 7 all the way down into turn 10A. So those are really your best spots to try to make an overtake. You can also potentially make overtakes in turns 6 and 7, which is where we are currently at now. Callan Tobin trying to chase down Zachary Nerney. Now they exit turn 7, and now they're on that 0.79 mile long straight. And you can get a very good slipstream here and a very good opportunity to overtake. But we also are very well aware of how strong that Mercedes is in a straight line.
That we are, and it does look like at the moment he is going to pull out. We're going to jump off of this battle for a second, because up front, Eric Mack has lost the lead to the driver Antonio Costa there in the Devil Beaters LMP2. So now Eric Mack is splitting the sandwich of the teammates, P1, P3 here. Antonio Costa, Cody Perodato. Who will come out ahead? Well, I'll tell you right now. We placed our bets early on in the broadcast. We'll see who comes through there. The Devil Beaters, P1, P3, and they've been undefeated pretty much through this season. So let's see how it plays through as they go through the final couple of corners here, down through turn 12. Across the start-finish line they go, heading towards turn 1. Defensive goes Costa. Eric Mack will bring it around the outside. Does Eric Mack clear into 1? He does not, but will he switch it up through? He's going to try, and, well, there's a GT3 just showing up for company. And Eric Mack hit the GT3! Oh.
Yeah, I want to say Perodato hit Eric Mack there, although only caught a glimpse of it, so he is pulled off the racetrack. So let's see, because I think there definitely sounded like there was contact. I want to say Paradonald ran into the back of it, but there is front damage, I think, on that Aston Martin liveried LMP2. So, yeah, the return of the Mac as he is returned into the pits. Oh, yep, nope, there he is. He did collide with a GT3, just like you said. So, oof, that is a rough time. And that is definitely the benchmark for traffic giveth and traffic taketh away. And there is David Moore having his own moment into the tire barrier. That Porsche bumper goes sent straight to the stratosphere. And the 054 not exactly having a great start here in the first few laps.
Back to live pictures we go here. Let's check in with Hugo Ortiz, who is currently under pressure from Luke Patrick, putting pressure on Luke Patrick. Gap currently half a second and continuing to develop as they go along here, coming through. I also want to check in GT3 Pro. We haven't looked at this in a little bit, but I can tell you right now the battle for P4 has been developing hard here. This is going to be Julius Machewski, who is battling it out with Tyler Cook, Tyler Stenick, Brian Metterly. So you have a McLaren, a Mercedes, a Bimmer, and a Bimmer. The Bimmers are teammates. How do you think this is going to go? Well, let me tell you right now, it's going to be pretty interesting to watch here. And also, I need to touch on weather here in just a second. We haven't talked about it. We need to talk about it. Weather as it goes through. It is dry right now, but I can tell you there was the possibility of some rain in the forecast. Nothing right now showing, but keep that in mind that rain could be rearing its head somewhere through the 60 minutes.
That really adds an extra element to strategy as well, because, I mean, you obviously have to take that mandatory pit stop, get 4 new tires on your car here at iRacing for both GT3 and LMP2. But now it's kind of a question of, do you hold out while the tire is actively falling apart until the rain hits, or do you risk having to make a double pit stop before rain does come to fruition? It really all depends on what time the rain actually hits the circuit, if we get any rain. That's just something that's just going to have to live kind of rent-free in the back of the minds of these drivers here today.
Dayton McGuire with an off here going through. We'll get a quick replay of what happened to him here as we go through. Dayton McGuire, this is your replay going around off track, and the same thing we've seen so many drivers do, losing it at the top of the hill. Dwight Hibbs has had a moment on his own back here in GT3, and back end becomes the front end, hard on the brakes, holding the brakes there, but it does look like broke that rear axle, and unfortunately having some big damage there. Back to live pictures, you can see Dwight is in the pits there. Hugo Ortiz has hit the wall as well and is carrying a little bit of damage going through. So lots of drivers struggling with road and land as we go. Metterly here going through around Tyler Cook, and Tyler Cook almost getting in the back of Brian Metterly going around.
He's certainly cooking there, that's for certain. I mean, this is incredible stuff. Tyler Cook about a second away from the driver just up ahead of Brian Metterly, but this is going to be a fantastic battle here. We were told that GT3s were going to be the category to keep an eye on, and for good reason. Although I will admit, it is funny seeing the Culver's Mercedes with a rear wing, considering the events of last week where Bill Gallows was not provided with a rear wing, it appears, for his Mercedes. Obviously knocked it off with a little bit of damage, but he still did some very good laps without that rear wing. But his teammate here is closing the gap. He does have his rear wing. I don't think you could pull off a drive around this track, because it's already tricky enough with the cold tires, because your car has to change direction constantly, especially through the Sector 1 S's. So it's a good battle here. We're going to see if Tyler Stenick can go ahead and put the pressure on to Julius Majewski here. See if Tyler can go ahead. The champion from last season is looking to go ahead and jump into 4th here, trying to pass the number 4 car for P4. But I mean, this is a very tight battle. Once again, it's not really a lot of overtake opportunities here at the circuit.
It's such a challenging course in so many ways, and we didn't really get to talk about it at the top of the broadcast, but I mean, the track size, the track narrowness, there's not really any runoff. You can't afford to make mistakes. It's very punishing. I mean, there's so many things with this track that if you just aren't on your P's and Q's, you're going to be having a horrible, and can I say it one more time, horrible day as they come over the hill here on towards the back straight. There is Julius going across now with Stenik and Metterly right behind as they head down into turn number 9. And towards 10A they go. Still keeping up with this battle through for 4th place. I mean, they are just not letting it go at all as they head underneath the Fox Factory Bridge, heading down towards the main straight. 15 minutes in, and they're still racing this hard.
Indeed, yeah. I mean, they're trying to get any kind of opportunity to go ahead and get a move done here. I mean, once again, this gap is still very, very tight here for P4 here, as the teammates are pretty much hunting down Julius here. So if Julius makes one simple mistake, then he is going to fall down this order like a stone. I mean, if all else, then Tyler Stenik and his teammate Brian Medley are both going to immediately jump, and they get so close to each other there. It's almost a bit of contact, but somehow, some way, through some miracle, Julius keeps it and just keeps that position.
I don't know how he kept that together right there. He should not have held on to P4, but he did, and Tyler Stenik is going to be so frustrated right now, right on the rear end of Julius Machevsky here, coming up through turn 9 towards turns 10A and B. Let's see, is there a move down the inside here around the McLaren? He's looking, he's right there. You've got to commit, though, if you're going to make the move. You can't halfway do it. You have to commit, and he didn't commit, and you can see what that results in here. Now he's stuck in an all-out drag race with Machevsky having the inside, and that is not what he wants. He needs to be there. Machevsky, though, holding on side by side. Stenik and Julius. It is going to be a flip for position here. How long will this stick, though, as Machevsky sends it up the inside? Now Stenik's under pressure by Metterly. Metterly's going to go around, slip the outside. 3 wide, they go up the hill. Coming down the hill, they go side by side, and when it's all said and done, Tyler Stenik is going to overtake them all. Wow!
Through goes Metterly, if you will. That was a fantastic display from the two teammates. I mean, Tyler Stenik, Brian Metterly, that was absolutely beautiful. I mean, they're both a part of a team known as Fair Enough Racing, and that pass was done fair enough. So now, they're already pretty much right up the back of the Lamborghini, although that is a GT3 AM Lamborghini, I believe, so they're just going to go ahead and get on through with no issues. But man, talk about teamwork here. That was beautiful to watch.
That was something else, I can tell you that. Wow. Stenik and Metterly had their hands full. Tyler Cook makes his way through as well, and Machevsky right on the back of Tyler Cook, as that is the race leader behind Antonio Costa coming through, who has now lapped Eric Wineland and is going to lap around through the inside. Multiple people. That's, I believe, going to be the Lamborghini of Maxwell Woodmansee going down a lap. And then there we go around the inside of Julius Machevsky. That's a Porsche off on the side there. That is going to be the Porsche of Benjamin Bechtel, who is off to the inside. It looks like he is going to be able to get going, though, but right as the leaders are coming through, that is so devastating. Not what you want to see if you're the leader. He makes it through clean, though, but Kel Hagen here is putting some pressure on his teammate Cody Peridotto way back in the traffic.
Yeah, Kel Haugen has been a pretty consistent force here throughout the season. I mean, he's been doing a fantastic job trying to go ahead and make everything work, and Kel Haugen is going to go ahead and try to navigate through this traffic, but he's pretty much now at the best spot to deal with this traffic. He's on that massive straight. He's going to try to get a little bit of a slipstream from the Mercedes of Colin Bourdon, and now Kel Haugen, who is currently P7 in the Drivers' Championship right now, he's going to go ahead and try to get some big points, and he'll definitely get some big points here if he could chase down the current championship leader of Cody Peridotto and get a pass done here.
What an amazing battle. Sorry to focus so much on the GT3 Pros, but that's possibly the best racing battle I have seen in months. going through GT3s. That was something else here as Kel Hagen is continuing to put some pressure on Peridotto. They've lost 5 seconds to the race leader with this traffic. Peridotto is about to lose everything through the S's as Hagen goes through as well. Road Atlanta is putting on an absolute of a race here as they come through down the hill. Julius Machewski here behind Tyler Cook and Brian Medderly, who are continuing to battle through, or no, that is Tyler Cook trying to get past a lap car of GT3 AM as they go. I mean, what in the world is this?
This is cinema is what this is, Brad. I mean, there's some beautiful overtakes, beautiful battles, beautiful racing happening up and down this field. You got battles in GT3 AM, battles in GT3 Pro, battles in LMP2, all happening within just meters of each other, as Antonio Costa still pulling away quite a bit, getting past the laps car of Eric Weiland, who had that incident very early on, smashing the snoot of that spike machine. But Antonio Costa, that's been one of his bigger strengths this season. Both him and his teammate have usually done very good when it comes to managing that traffic, and that's why they're 1 and 2 in the standings. I mean, honestly, I have to do the math, but I believe at this point they could have already wrapped up this team's championship. I mean, if they continue with this form, then I think even today they could essentially just wrap up. They almost have twice as many points as the team in second place. So if I'm gonna pull up the team standings on my end, I mean, it is quite a big gap. 492 points to 250 against the team of Eric Mack and Cameron Dick.
The points in LMP2 are ridiculous, and my question is, who's going to come in and just run house and take over? I'm waiting on somebody to come in and I have to make the pun. I'm so sorry. I have to make this pun. I'm waiting on somebody to come in with their elbows out and take over. And I'll tell you right now, it could be me, but I'm broadcasting. So sorry, boys and girls. You get me in the booth and not on the track. Such a great run from everyone here, though, as they go. But yeah, as you pointed out, I mean, it's such a good run from them. And the question is, who can stop it? And the answer is, honestly, I don't think anyone at this point. I think right now, you kind of have to treat it like we would in Formula One, to be honest. Really, everyone just sort of has to ride it off and start thinking about next season.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much now at this point, I mean, at least in the LMP2s, I'm thinking the GT classes are a bit closer, but in LMP2, you might as well just try to fight to be the best of the rest, because Costa and Peridotto, they have been a dominant force. The Devil Beaters Motorsport team has just been beating the brakes off of everybody this season, as we do see some cars now making their way into the pits. Hugo Ortiz, the number 72 LMP2, making his way. Although that looks like it might have been a drive-through, so he might have had a track limit penalty, which would have forced him to get that penalty. Maybe? There it is.
Was indeed a black flag there for Hugo Ortiz. Serving that drive-through going through. It looks like he is able to go out, but that is going to be unfortunate. And what does that tell me? Track limits. Track limits are something that we didn't talk about a lot, but it's something that's going to have to be watched here as we go. This is Emily Milkey and Joe Bandera. This is back P13, P12 GT3 Pro that is battling it out right now. And I believe in front of Emily, that is Kyle O'Grady, a GT3 AM. So a little bit of Pro AM mix up here in the mid-pack as they battle. This is back in the 20s overall.
Yeah, I mean, it's always really hard to predict what's going to happen here, as Kyle O'Grady now is pretty much stuck in a gaggle of cars. I mean, it's got to be nerve-wracking for these drivers too, because like you said, this track is very narrow. The margin of error is in the negatives, and even then, you just got to try to watch your back essentially, because I mean, especially if you are Christopher Ondera right now, your entire rear view mirror is nothing but BMW, so that is definitely a scary sight to see, seeing that number 12 Beamer just basically right up your gearbox trying to get a pass here.
Such a challenging run from Christopher Ondera right now with Nathan Hemperly just in tow. Then LMP2s come through, and then pro drivers trying to make their way through as well. That is Hemperly, who is trying to come through and around, as the 072 of Hugo Ortiz works his out.
Ooh! Ooh! What a save there from the Nate Dog, as he was referred to in the last stream. Yeah, but that's just an unfortunate moment. Give it a bit too much gas, trying to maybe compensate and try to get after the two GT3s that went past him when Hugo Ortiz came through. Yeah, overall, still a very unfortunate moment there for Nathan Hemperly.
Big moment there for the Nate D-O-double-G as he gets going, and those tires are going to be screaming. He's going to need to relax for a second, but I think he's going to be mostly okay. Check it back in with Hugo Ortiz up in the front here. He's the driver that has been really catching my eyeball coming along here as he is working his way in and out and all the way around through the traffic in that 072 LMP2, working his way along. And it looks like right now following behind 14th place of Max Poe, if I'm not mistaken who that is, who is going to get well out of the way. And actually, no, that is the 086 of Joel Bandera. I don't understand how they get numbered in the sim anymore on those digital number boards. So Hugo Ortiz working his way through, currently has a gap of 6 seconds to Bob Carey ahead of Bob Carey by 8 seconds is Malik Bass. And basically what I'm about to tell you is the LMP2 field has spread out so much, it's kind of scary just how big the gaps have built. That first run through traffic absolutely sort of neutralized the LMP2 race. And that is the one thing about this Petit Le Mans as it goes through, is once you get that first round of traffic, you get some big battles, some big moments, but if you can't stay near someone, this track is very heavy on the traffic taketh away.
Especially with just how narrow the tracks are, and like we said earlier, I mean, it is so easy to even like without getting into any kind of contact, it's very easy to lose the back end of these cars. We've seen it time and time again in this race, and we're not even halfway through, and we've seen several drivers go ahead and just lose it just from giving it a bit too much throttle on the exit of some of these corners. We saw it actually just happen earlier with Nathan Hemperly. Just gave it a little too much gas through turn 7, and he just kind of lost it. So, and then you take it to account just how slippery this track can be, and then you put dirty air into the mix, as Luke Patrick is going to go and try to get to the inside to try to get out of the dirty air from the BMW up ahead. He's going to go ahead and make his way through, passing the lap traffic. Now, this is a driver that has been pretty impressive to watch over the last few races. Almost got a podium in Silverstone, I believe. So, I mean, Luke Patrick is definitely going to be a driver to watch in the next season, at least.
I agree with that completely here. Looking at the most positions gained here on the day, 4 of the 5 are GT3 AMs. All 5 are GT3s. And Nathan Hemperly up 12 places on the day so far. Matt Toppin up 8. Tyler Stenick, Matthew Santer-Sierro, and Andre Wedderburn all up 8, 7, or 6 places respectively as they go along. That's some big positions gained from them as they go through. Checking in with our race leader, Antonio Costa, up in the front here in LMP2, and is just kind of cruising, doing his own thing here, really enjoying just the fresh air. I think enjoying really what Antonio Costa has been enjoying, which has just been a nice Wednesday night drive. It's not a Sunday drive, and it's a hard-fought Wednesday here with not a lot challenging at the moment. It's just like, I literally don't know what to say at this point about these about this Devil Beaters team, because they're so just strong, and we could harp on that for hours. But again, my big question is, who is going to come in and knock Antonio Costa and Cody Peredato down a notch? It was going to be Eric Mack. It was going to be the return of the Mack. Unfortunately, Eric Mack has been in the pits for 19 minutes and counting. His car done and dusted. No fast repairs here in Elbows Out Racing League. If you wreck, your day is over. And unfortunately, Eric Mack are only out here in LMP2.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate considering that Eric Mack was such a strong force when we were running GTPs the season prior, and we figured that Eric Mack was going to be such a strong contender for the championship coming into the season, but it's just really been a rough season for Big Mac. I mean, it's second place in the team's championship, but if you look at the drivers' championship, he is currently in P5, and I mean, with a humongous gap to the championship leader. So, I mean, he is 144 points behind Cody Perodata, the championship leader, who has 302 points, which is an insane number to have. But, I mean, considering how this race is going, Eric Mack might actually drop down to P6 or even potentially P7 on the day. We'll have to see how the standings get updated, but only 5 points behind is Bob Carey. So he's probably going to jump in more than likely, as long as Bob Carey still finishes this race. But yeah, it's just been a rough season for the Mac.
That it has. Bob Carey having a good run here today, going through. Hugo Ortiz into 7th place. Hugo Ortiz, of course, having to serve a drive-through going through. I see Parker Chiapuzzo is in. GT3s have started to dwindle their way in here. Parker Chiapuzzo in. Nathan Hemperly is going through, continuing along. Andre Wedderburn is in. Max Poe is in. Seth Bosselman has already been in. Chris Stewart, Emily Milkey, Matt Toppin, Matthew Santerciero, they've all already been in here. So when you look at the GT3 battles, it's a very different sort of condition here compared to what we were seeing. Is that is Chris Daniel, who is working his way down the pit lane right now, going along for his pit stop from P3 in GT3 Pro as he stands. So he is one of the first front runners in GT3 Pro to be making his pit stop. So interesting to see that exactly at the 30-minute mark, drivers are deciding to pit in. I really figured they would wait a bit later here to pit through, but no, they have decided that now is the time to go through, as we see Julius Machewski again trying to catch up to Tyler Cook and trying to find his way through.
They may be just thinking about the potential of rain, although granted how sunny it looks out there on track at the moment. I'm not expecting any rain, but anything can happen to racing, and like we've said so many times before, the only predictable thing about racing or any form of motorsport is that it is unpredictable. So I honestly thought they were going to wait a bit longer too, just to see if that rain is going to play out, but considering there's not a lot of clouds in the sky at the moment, and it's looking very blue out there on Road Atlanta. So I think overall it's not going to rain, but we'll just have to see how the rest of this race plays out.
I'm blue, da boo dee da boo da. And there's the copyright strike. Anyways, continuing along here, looking at GT3 battles as it goes. One of the things I did just catch, Kyle O'Grady, Christopher Ondera, they're separated by about 0.6 of a second here for the lead as they go around. Now we have more mix-ups in GT3 Pro for the lead, as well as Peter Nodwell is in. Colin Bourdon is bringing his way through further back. Paul Nye Sr. up into the lead here in GT3 Pro. Back to Ondera and O'Grady as they battle their way through. 27.5 minutes left to go in this run, and these two currently fighting their way out for the lead in GT3 AM halfway through this race.
Indeed, yeah. So, I mean, I know the GT3 Pros have been pretty much the center of attention here at Road Atlanta, but we can see a really spicy battle coming up here as Christopher Ondera goes ahead to lets Kel Haugen through. The deep blue LMP2 going ahead and making his way through the traffic as Christopher Ondera is trying to go ahead and catch up to the Porsche of Kyle O'Grady. And he is, or sorry, that's a McLaren of Kyle O'Grady. So it'll be soon be McLaren on McLaren violence here as Christopher Ondera still continues to chase down Kyle as they go ahead and get onto the massive 1,275 meter long back straight.
I just realized that I believe that is a parrot that is on his car, if I'm not mistaken. I think it says Pedro's Tacos going through here as we watch the drivers continue along. There is one driver that I got to circle back to here. Zachary Nerney has a certain, again, he has the cat in his profile picture. we've got a couple other things here. We look on the left rear suspension, I believe it is. No, actually, okay. There's a couple of special things on here that I want to show you. Right here. Do you see it? Do you see it?
I do see it.
Okay.
I indeed see it. That's a pretty funny thing.
There's also another one on the car being held by the Michelin Man behind the rear tires. So once he comes through, you might be able to see that going through. That is a new addition from Fost. Of course, they had to get some sort of a fan for them as they go through. Hugo Ortiz, P7, catching up to Bob Carey here, trying to pressure in for 6th place, getting stuck there behind Metterly, who is now into the pits there, and Bob Carey's into the pits. That's going to release Hugo Ortiz up another position. We'll see if he's able to hold on to it through the pit stop cycles as we continue to have drivers pit up and down the field with GT3 Pro leaders now into the pits.
Wow, I mean, this is about closer to the time I was expecting a lot of these drivers to go to make their pit stops in. I was thinking even maybe the 20-minute mark flat was potentially a pit-in time for some of these drivers, but if you've been in the clear air a bit more, then your tires are going to be a little bit better off, because we know dirty air does damage the tires a little bit. I don't believe it's as much as it is in a single-seater open-wheeled car, but it still takes just a slight bit of damage from just constantly being in the dirty air, and the dirty air can be such a gruesome force here in this race. Rain was also expected to be a gruesome force here in this 60-minute race here at Elbows Out Racing, but looking at the weather, it doesn't look it says 81%, but I do not see any clouds on the horizon that suggest otherwise.
Yeah, there's nothing giving me an indication that rain is going to be a factor here as we watch around the scenes here around this Road Atlanta course. Yeah, nothing. Nothing at all tells me rain, so I think we got absolutely played on that regard coming through. Still watching drivers go in and out here around the battles as they stand. Currently looking at a lot of field spread here with 20 minutes left to go. Drivers have sort of settled into a rhythm, and again, as they've settled in, it's kind of caused things to really spread out here. Good battle that is starting to develop again. The same battle we've kind of been watching all day, and we'll watch it a little bit more. Tyler Cook and Julius Machewski continuing to battle here in GT3 Pro. These two have not stayed away from each other pretty much this entire race. They've been in a mix somewhere, anywhere that they can find battle. I feel like we've looked at Julius Machewski's car quite a bit today.
I mean, yeah, he's been in the center of a ton of really awesome battles. I mean, there's so many amazing battles that have been around this driver today. I mean, a double overtake from Medley and Stanek earlier in the BMWs. That was beautiful. I believe Majewski was involved in that. And now he's involved with another very fantastic battle with the Culver's Mercedes just directly behind. And now we have a LMP2 just going ahead and slicing his way through. That is the number 191 Malik Bass. Going ahead and making his way through traffic. Gets really close to that Mercedes there. As speaking of one of the, well, we were seeing Tyler Stunning momentarily, but now jumping back in, here is a three-way gaggle of machines. It is Colin Bourdon, Julius Majewski, and the Culver's Mercedes just directly behind. Tyler Cook is trying to cook here at Road Atlanta, trying to cook up a spicy double overtake, but this is not the place to do it. This track gets even a bit more narrower through turns 10A and 10B, which I honestly cannot tell you why it's not just called turn 10 and 11, but I'm sure the track designers were cooking with something in mind. I'm not sure how that turned out, but regardless, we do know that this battle is going to turn out to be a cinematic masterpiece here, as we are just about in the final 21 and a half minutes left of this race.
That we are here. Colin Bourdon, Julius Machewski, and Tyler Cook continue to battle their way along. You see side by side, great action coming between these three near the end of the top 10 in the GT3 Pro category as they continue along here. No! It's going to be Colin Bourdon up into the wall at the top of the hill.
It was such a good run there from the Elbows Out Racing Mercedes, but unfortunately just lost it there. Let's get a replay of what happened. Yeah, just got a bit wide and boop, right into the wall, right on the exit of, I believe that's turn 4, maybe?
Yes.
Oh, Christopher Andera having a similar moment and just ping-ponging around off the outskirts of the track.
Couple more moments we've missed here. Kai Nebel disappearing from reality. Dayton McGuire having a moment there again off the exit with a hard hit into the wall. This is Ethan Murphy with a moment earlier on, going through, losing the rear end at the bottom of the hill. Daniel Pinero having a moment early on, it looks like almost trying to stay out of the way. No, this was actually a carryover from this incident going through. So drivers having a hard time here around this Motul Petit Le Mans as it goes. And right now, Paul Nye's having a hard time because Chris Daniel is right there for company with Nodwell not far behind either. Look at this switch up one side, outside to inside. Will the Porsche get through on Paul Nye in the AMG? Yes, it will. And new P2 here, Chris Daniel, but Chris Daniel doesn't need to pit. Paul Nye doesn't need to pit. Callan Tobin in the lead of GT3 does need to pit. So right now, Chris Daniel is your de facto GT3 Pro leader, has passed Paul Nye with 19 minutes to go.
And it looks like they're not done battling here as they make their way towards turn 10A. Paul Nye Sr. looking to retake that P2. The inside becomes the outside, and he's got a bit of a good run here going into turn 11, now turn 12. Is he going to get it? The Mercedes top end prevails once again. Paul Nye, the donut guy, is now the guy in P2. What a pass. He stuck with him through the chicane of turns 10A and 10B, and then went full speed around the outside, turn 11 and 12. What a move. But you also got to commend Chris Daniel for not giving up a bit. I mean, he's got pressure from behind, trying to pressure the car just up in front. And these drivers are not budging an inch here today. Just a little under 20 minutes left to go in this race here at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. But man, I think these are going to be some of the most action-packed 18 minutes left of the entire Grand Prix.
It's so amazing to watch through, and I got to tell you, it is so much fun. Saw a question about getting a different feed for the LMP2 racers. I would love to do that. I do not have a second PC with iRacing on it. Excuse me. However, I might in the future. There's some things coming. There's some upgrades coming here to PTR TV. We may or may not be able to make some fun things happen in the future. Watching through, Peter Nodwell now in the mix of this as well, as Nodwell is now challenging in with Paul Nye and Chris Daniel. If you're Paul Nye for the next 18 minutes, it's going to be probably the sweatiest 18 minutes you could have here from Paul Nye, the boss man guy, the donut guy, the left turn guy, the Mercedes guy, the horrible taste and beverage guy as I drink a Diet Coke here. Look at that with the defense coming through as they go up the hill, now down towards the S as they go. And Paul Nye able to put on a great defense there in the moment as they go towards through the top of the S's, down towards the bottom of the S's. You can see great defense being put on there.
I mean, if we're talking about the superior Coke beverage, everybody knows that is the Coke Orange Cream is like the best Coke in existence. That is a hill that I will perish on, but all things aside, I mean, Paul Nye is doing a fantastic job here defending that P2.
All right, so PTR TV is now hiring a co-commentator for the Elbows Out Racing series. Please apply at primetimeracinktv.com. Listen, me and Corey Silva have had a lot of hot takes on this channel. That's a hot take.
I feel like you and I have also had our own specific hot takes as well. Like mentioning that Suzuka is probably one of the more overrated tracks that you could race on in most categories.
However, I don't think that's a hot take. I think that is just accurate.
Let us know if you agree or disagree in the comment section as before we get carried away with too many hot takes. And we need to go ahead and refocus back onto the hot action that's going on here on track. Paul Nye is pretty much right at the gearbox of Bob Carey, which probably won't be for long, but the rivalry with him and Chris Daniel is still red hot here as they go side by side through turn number 6, then into turn number 7. They're so close, but Bob Carey is now pulling away, so the LMP2 was kind of blocking the Mercedes there for a bit, but now they are free and they are racing, and there are 3 GT3s, actually now making 4 GT3s involved in this as Peter Nodwell just comes out of left field, makes the move onto Chris Daniel, now trying to make a move onto Paul Nye Sr., try to demote him to Paul Nye, the guy at P3.
I could feel Paul Nye really not having a good time there because he was stuck behind Bob Carey, who should be the faster class. But the thing with LMP2s, the faster part of them comes from the straight line speed. They're not always the most nimble going through. So, I mean, he's sitting there trying to work his way through, trying to defend for position from Peter Nodwell, from Chris Daniel. And unfortunately for him, not a lot he could do. And here's Antonio Costa. Here's our overall race leader, who we're going to ride on board with here for just a moment and watch his on board as he follows along through. And I mean, yeah, this is what you get when you're trying to work your way around. So there he goes. He's able to get past Chris Daniel. Now he's stuck behind Peter Nodwell, coming through turn 6 and 7, I believe, is where we're at on track, if I am not mistaken. Even though I have commentated so much of this track, you would think I would know it by now. Now we go down the back stretch here through turn 8, underneath the Motul Bridge. Now, this is where Costa has the better run. This is where the speed comes in, and this is really where the LMP2 can pull away. So as he goes along there, he gets his way past and is able to continue his way forward, push his way along, and that's where they build up the gap. Through the S's and stuff, it's not guaranteed that you're going to be the fastest. So you can see where the frustration can come in.
I think also at some tracks, I want to say it's Fuji actually, where an unrestricted LMP2 car will actually set a slower lap time than a Super GT car. Granted, the Super GTs have, I think, an equal amount of horsepower to the LMP2s, and they have way more than the GT3s that are being raced here, but it is a interesting fact to note. But yeah, I mean, it's really tricky to try to get a move done on this track. Your only real option, unless you have a heart of steel, is really just down that backstretch from 7 to 10A.
Indeed, as we go along and come through here, I mean, just it's such an interesting position to be in here. And again, now you have Cody Perodato working his way through in that number 51, working his way around down the inside. And again, you can see that LMP2, the straight line speed coming into play and able to clear Paul Nye there going into turn 9. Now we're down into turn 10A, 10B. And this is where you can sometimes see the GT3s close up. 12 minutes to go here in this race today. And again, here up in the front of GT3, things have kind of chilled out. Max Poe, Julius Machewski have calmed down a little bit as well. They're starting to battle it out a little bit further back here as they go through. Julius looking very fast against Max Poe. LMP2s, as it stands, they have spread out pretty significantly across the field, and they are all just kind of trying to run their race through as we settle along here. Checking in on Antonio Costa, who is trying to get past Bob Carey to put Bob Carey a lap down. That is P7 in LMP2 that he is trying to put a lap down right now as he goes along. You see he was kind of looking his way through the S's, but when they hit that straight line speed, they're fairly similar on pace as they are trying to put Christopher Ondera a third lap down, I believe, as they go along and continue through. But again, you can see Costa's able to work his way through turn 7. Now 8, 9, 10 goes around there. The GT3 having a good time. Cody Perodato 1.7 seconds back. He is just cruising along with his teammate because they have a 14-second lead over Luke Patrick here, who is just a bit further back, who's pulled out about 3 seconds on Kel Hagen, who is trying to catch up here to have a battle for the last of the podium places in LMP2.
Yeah, he's definitely got his work cut out for him here. Kel Haugen has got to try to catch up about 3 seconds here, as Malik Bass is about almost 12 seconds behind Kel. So, I mean, and Hugo Ortiz as well, also putting in. I mean, it's been a tumultuous time for Hugo Ortiz. I mean, he did have the drive-through earlier for track limit violations. It feels like he gets one of those at least once a week here at Elbows Out Racing. But I mean, sometimes that just comes with experience, and sometimes you just kind of push the car a little too hard. It is a jump coming from GTPs to LMP2s this season. I think some drivers have adapted to it a bit better than others. The big example I can think of is obviously Costa and Perodato adapted really nicely. I mean, they're absolutely dominating both championships, as a matter of fact. And then Eric was strong in the GTPs, not quite as strong in the LMP2s. As we take a look at LMP2s, as Bob Carey does have a LMP2 directly behind. Callan Tobin in the class lead. I believe he still has to pit, so it's a 26-second gap to second, but I don't think that's going to stick very long as Paul Nye and Peter Nabo continue to battle it out here within the last 10 minutes of this race.
Yeah, 10 minutes to go here. Callan Tobin will need to pit, and it's a 45-second pit stop. So if you do the math on where Callan Tobin's going to come out here, if we filter this out by your class gaps, well, he's going to come out somewhere around P8, P9, P10, depending on how clean his pit stop is. Possibly come out ahead of Julius Machewski. And I think that's the only thing Callan Tobin can really hope for right now as we go along here. Look at that. That is Peter Nodwell running way off, going through, losing position over Chris Daniel, and now having to try to gain back up there as he just took a little bit too much corner there, miscalculated, misjudged the braking zone, however you want to phrase it. Driver error there prevails, drops Peter Nodwell down into fourth, which should be P3 whenever pit stops are done and dusted. Possibly going to lose a position to Tyler Stinick as well. Tyler Stinick here having a great drive in fifth place. His teammate Brian Metterly back here in P6, about 5 seconds back, just holding on. Stinick might be able to get past Nodwell here and try to chase down a P4.
It's very possible. I mean, we've seen Tyler Stinick do some incredible moves earlier on in the race. I mean, this is clearly a track he feels comfortable at, because he is not afraid to make a move against pretty much anybody here at Road Atlanta. So he's definitely going to want to try to close that gap to P4 of Peter Nodwell and try to get this move done, which I think would translate to a podium once Callan Tobin pits in. So I think overall, this is definitely a move that Tyler Stinick needs to get done sooner rather than later.
That it is here, but we'll see if he's able to do it. 8.5 minutes left to go in this battle. Checking in on GT3 AMs. I don't feel like we've shown them a lot of love today here, so let's go ahead and look at them here as they stand with 8 minutes to go. Parker Chiapuzzo, 10.9 seconds over Andre Wedderburn here. Great gap there that he's formed, with another 7 seconds back to Kyle O'Grady. Matt Toppin 4 seconds back from there. 9 seconds back to Seth Bosselman as they go through. Bosselman about to be passed there by, I believe that is Zach Nerney, who is going around and down the inside. This is not for position. That is actually a 1 lap difference between them as they go along here. Hemperly is up into P6 in class, up 11 places overall, having a great run on his day here as they continue through. So lots of drivers in lots of places having different runs. Max Poe in and out of the pits there, having to... Actually, no, that was Max Poe's pit stop that he just served. So Max Poe, the next to last driver who's pit. Nathan Hemperly actually still needs to pit, and so does Seth Bosselman and Maxwell Woodmansee. It looks like they have not taken their full 4-tire pit stops yet, based on the times that I'm seeing here. Seth Bosselman only 9 seconds in the pits, Hemperly only serving a drive-through, and it looks like Maxwell Woodmansee only 7 seconds in the pits.
I know Woodmansee was in the pits, I believe, earlier. I think he was fixing damage, I think. I could be wrong about that, but regardless, you still got to take the tires. Regardless if you have the funny lizard on the side of your car. I also see a Sobe sponsor. Does Sobe even still exists? I haven't seen them in at least like 5 years.
I have not a clue on that one, but I would love to actually know here as we see... I always love drivers that are brave enough to drive the GT3 Lamborghini, so... any driver that can drive the GT3 Lamborghini is pretty okay with me as we see Lizard going through. Lizard. Anyways, 6 minutes, 15 seconds left to go. I do want to check back in up front a little bit because Paul Nye Sr. is feeling pressure here by Chris Daniel as they go. Not much of a gap between them as they continue their way along through half a second separating them as we watch. Callan Tobin has finally come into the pits and relegated his lead. Where will he come out? Well, we had a prediction as to where he would come out. And let's find out if my prediction was correct. He will actually come out. How far ahead of Julius is the question.
Not super far because you can see him right there.
Yeah, there's Julius. There's Tobin. Top of the hill to the bottom of the hill. It's about 3.5 seconds continuing to close. Cold tires are going to make a difference here. Let's see what happens as Paul Nye and Chris Daniel are also ending up side by side up here going along. But these two are really going to make an interesting battle, and it looks like that one settled out. But Tyler Cook and Julius Machewski still battling. Culvers versus Julius. I don't know who your sponsor is. McLaren, Prismatic, Pfaff, I don't know. Anyways, Culver's looking to get a good run here on the day. Chris is still putting pressure on Paul Nye. 5 minutes left to go. The win is still up for grabs in GT3 Pro.
After a quick little Google search, you can still get Sobe drinks, but it's limited to, quote, special orders, so you can't directly buy them anymore. So they're about as good as discontinued. Coming back here to the battle, Chris Daniel is still going to try to put pressure on to Paul Nye Sr. I mean, it's not really an easy part of the track. I mean, you could make a move going into turn 6 theoretically, but the chances of you having a good run to even try to make that overtake are pretty slim. But I think Chris Daniel is closing that gap. He could have sent it, but I don't think he would have succeeded. So I think he made the right call, just kind of sitting back and waiting. He is extremely close to the back of that Mercedes. So I think he's going to have a really good slipstream, a really good chance here to try to get an overtake done, as there is a LMP2 off track. I don't think that should affect. I believe that was Kel Haugen going a bit off track there. And it is.
And that is Kel Haugen's day done. He took a black flag, and it looks like that spelled disaster on his race. He got a wiggle there, and actually that is why he got a black flag. So he got track limits violation, and that took him out, done, and dusted here. And then Tyler Cook has just had a moment here, and we watched him battling with Julius Machewski. That's out of turn 7. That is an unforced error.
Yeah, that's I mean, we've talked about a lot. Okay, that's an LMP2 taking a alternate route. Taking a little bit of a joker lap there, as it is known in rallycross. So that was a bit unfortunate. But Paul Nye Sr. is still holding on to that GT3 Pro lead. But for how long is the question, as we ride on board with Chris Daniel as he goes ahead and tries to close that gap even further. It looks like he took turn 7 a bit better than the Mercedes just up ahead. Now going through turn number 8, and he's got such a good run here. He could theoretically get this move done if he just sends it down into 10A. But we'll see. The gap is getting closer and closer, but I think the Mercedes does have the straight line speed advantage. Is he going to lick the stamp and send it? No, he's going to go in and wait it out.
What a great decision there to wait it out, too. You got to know when to fold them, know when to hold them, know when to walk away, know when to run. And right now, I think if you're Paul Nye Sr., the goal is to run as we come down the straightaway. That is going to be Hugo Ortiz trying to make his way through the 191. Or no, that's Malik Bass making his way through side by side Paul Nye.
Whoa.
And Chris Daniel, that's contact. That's Chris Daniel around. And Paul Nye will continue through. Stiddick trying to take advantage. Coming along as well around the outside as they go up the hill. And Peter Nodwell wants to take advantage. Get a 3-for-1 special. Call it a 4-for-4 if you could.
Wow, that is intense things here. I mean, there's not even 2 minutes left. So it really is make or break for these drivers here. They need to get these moves done now, or else it's just going to be too little too late. And Tyler Stunnick is going to want a return to that top step of the podium in GT3 Pro. He is pretty much right at the back of Paul Nye Sr., but we have seen that through some way, some miracle, somehow, Paul Nye Sr. has been able to keep his lead on these straights but can we see an overtake here? As we do see Eric Wineland in that spike just directly behind. He's going to go ahead and get on through, but not as clearly as it was looking initially. But Paul Knight Sr. still holding on to that in-class lead. And we're seeing Tyler Steinig thinking about the outside. He probably thought about it, but decided, nope, there's a better opportunity. And man, you really can't take your eyes off these two.
Tyler Stenick in the number 1 plated car against Paul Nye Sr., the head admin of the league. You've got a driver that is a proven champion against Paul Nye, who has proven skill in and out of the car. David and Goliath battle. This is going to be great to the end with only 24 seconds left to go as they go down towards turns 6 and 7. Antonio Costa here has just crossed the line. We do get one bonus lap here from Antonio Costa as the time will end. We'll go through. There's a Porsche spinning up front, but all eyes are going to stay right here on this battle between Stenick, Nodwell, and Nye Sr. How will this end? Paul Nye Sr. pulling a great run out of turn 7 down towards 8 and 9. We are officially on the final lap. They will have to do a full extra lap for the run through. Antonio Costa is behind them. Antonio Costa will finish things off here shortly, but for Paul Nye, Stenick, and Nodwell, a bonus lap will have to be had here as they'll cross to the white flag this time around.
Indeed, so this is going to be a very tough battle. The white flag is out. Barney showing the drivers that it is indeed the final lap of the race here at Road Atlanta. We are on the verge of wrapping up round number 9 out of 12 here. But while we do know that Antonio Costa is going to go ahead and take the win here without any real contest, his teammate is about 3 seconds behind. Luke Patrick about 13 seconds behind, and he crosses the line. Antonio Costa wins the race here at Road Atlanta. But now we turn our attention to who's going to win in GT3 Pro. This is going to be a tough one. He goes through turn number 6 and then turn number 7. Ooh, it's going to be close as Parker Chiapuzio is going to take the win in GT3 AM. But man, I can't even make a prediction on who's going to win this battle here.
Side by side going up the hill they go towards turn 9. Now down towards turn 9 they go. Heading towards turn 10. It is going to be advantage Stenick. Paul Nye late on the brakes here. Stenick's outside. Paul Nye to the inside. Paul Nye deep on the brakes in that Mercedes. He's got the confidence behind the wheel. And for Paul Nye, that is the last second moment he needed. He's going to bring it across the line. Paul Nye, after fighting for his life in GT3 Pro, is going to get the win. Paul Nye returning back to form. Top of the tower.
That was a Coke 0 to hero level drive from Paul Knight Sr. I mean, he fought off all challengers. He did not care if it was a BMW behind him, if it was a Mustang behind him, if it was a McLaren, Lambo, you name it. He was taking all challengers and winning against all challengers. What a drive from the boss man.
Respect has to be given there from Stenick because that was... I mean, I don't know what else to say to that one. That was great going through. We didn't even have time to get any onboards. We didn't have anything crazy go through. But you could see Stenick there paying respect to Paul Nye side by side as they go. And Paul will take his victory lap. Best Coke ever. Best drive ever. And very clearly, Petit Le Mans works well for the Foss boys.
Indeed. I mean, this track with that massive straight does benefit the Mercedes because we know that Mercedes straight line speed is zero joke here. As we go ahead and pull up the standings brought to you by IDI, International Decorators Inc. And Antonio Costa and Cody Peredato definitely building a championship lead to remember. That is for sure. And as it's another 1-2 for the Devil Motorsports or Devil Beater Motorsports drivers. And then there's Luke Patrick, Malik Bass, Hugo Ortiz, Bob Carey, Eric Wineland, Kel Haugen, and Eric Mack. Rounding out our LMP2 grid after 48 laps around this circuit. I mean, this has been a fantastic race here.
That it has. And let's talk about our GT3 Pro results here because this was where the popcorn was found. Paul Nye Sr. able to pull it off in turns 10A and B to get over Tyler Stenick, Peter Nodwell in third, Brian Metterly fourth, Chris Daniel with a top 5 there, Callan Tobin P6 with great strategy to be found, able to pull off a little bit of time there, only 2/10 over Julius Machewski, Zachary Nerney in P8, Mike Sermon P9, and Tyler Cook rounds P10. Joel Bandera, Chris Stewart, Emily Milkey, Jean McLuhan, Max Poe, Colin Bourdon, your 16 GT3 pros taking on this circuit. In the GT3 AMs, this is the results as follows. Chiapuzzo, Wedderburn, O'Grady, Vosselman, Hemperly, your top 5 with a pretty good size field spread. P6, Benjamin Bechtel, Matthew Sanchez-Sierra, Matt Toppin, Dwight Hibbs, Christopher Ondera rounding out your top 10. From there, it was Woodman C., Nebel, McGuire, Panero, Ethan Murphy, David Moore, and Jonathan Lanton did not finish this race. What do you say we get... I was going to say, let's get Paul Nye in here if he's available, but he's not. So let's chat with, you know what? Let's chat with both of them. Come here, Costa and Peridotto at the same time. Let's talk to these two, because for some reason as a team, y'all are just unstoppable. Can you explain to me what it is with your team that is making things just so... so just wow. I don't have a better way to phrase that, guys. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, I think we've always been very close on pace. We know that. And at the start of every week, at least is how I see it, is we give each other the setups, and we're always kind of letting each other know what times we're running, and we're always kind of building off of what we do. We give advice, figuring out new things, and trying to beat whatever lap times the other person's doing. So we're always so close, and we're always trying to make sure we can get the best run for the team.
So
yeah, we work together a lot. It's very helpful.
It's so impressive to watch, guys. You all work together and go through. I gotta ask the $1 million question. Going into the season, was there any sort of this person's faster than this person? Basically, did y'all pull any sort of papaya rules, is what I'm trying to ask going into the season?
No, I know from many seasons of racing with Costa that we're pretty close on pace in just about everything. So, I mean, we went into it not with any sort of lead driver of any kind, of course. So we're both just trying to get the best result for each of us, and whoever ends up in front at the end is just whoever was better that week.
Yeah, so it's kind of like whoever's qualifying first, we're prioritizing. And if there's an opportunity for like the other person to pass, we like let each other know, kind of. But it's always whoever's in front we kind of just deem as the faster driver, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So here is my question. Is there anyone in the field that you think can challenge you all? Obviously, you all have this season on a very, very tight leash, and it's going to be very hard to lose out on the season unless you all just decide to not show up for the rest of the season. And even then, mathematically, I'm questioning it. Is there anyone in the field right now in LMP2 that you think will give you a challenge into next season?
Well, for me at least, first of all, I would like to say rest in peace to Mac. He suffered a very unfortunate fate. I don't know if you guys caught that on stream. He's definitely quick, but unfortunately, I won't be here next season because I'm going back to college. I don't even know if I'll be here next race. But Mac is there. I know there's a couple other quick guys, and but they're not consistently showing up. So Mac is definitely up there. Otherwise, I don't know what Cody thinks.
Yeah, Mac's always consistently quick. I mean, Haugen, Malik, all of them are really quick pretty much every week. So we have people like Alex Caruso, if he decides to show up more consistently, could be a good challenge for a championship rather than just a race. But rest of the season, I think we both might be missing a race or two. So we'll see how it ends up at the end.
All right, guys. Well, I appreciate your all's time. Congratulations on another 1-2 for the team. Antonio, you first. Anyone you want to thank or shout out? And then Cody, I'll let you shout out anyone you'd like to.
Yeah, just thank you to you guys. Thank you to Paul and everyone else that helps out. It was a great season to be back. I'm looking forward to coming back during like Christmas time and having some fun.
Yeah, I just want to thank Costa for working well as a teammate and getting the setups for us every week. Appreciate you guys doing the broadcasts. That's always a big enjoyment to go back and watch every week. So thank you so much.
All right, guys. Thank you all. Again, congratulations on the 1-2, and we'll catch up with you all later.
Of course. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Patrick, let's go ahead and pull in the guy who possibly was going to make us lose our voice. Paul Nye, the winner guy. Patrick, you're standing by with him.
I mean, Paul and you had a very breathtaking race here today. It always seemed like every time we looked at you during the broadcast, you were always fighting tooth and nail with somebody. From your perspective, how was the race?
My gosh, I am sitting here out of breath, can hardly talk. My throat's dry. I'm sweating like crazy. That was intense.
Yeah, I mean, we were breathless here in the commentary box, and we weren't even the ones driving. I mean, it was always such tight battles in places that you normally wouldn't even want to battle here. Even on that start or that back straight there, you always seem to have a really good exit and always just had so much straight line speed. Was that, do you think, due to your setup, or?
I took a risk with the setup, and I decided to lean a lot more on mechanical grip here instead of trying to do aero grip, and it made it to where in the corners it felt pretty on the nose and kept me on my toes, but definitely paid off on the straights. There were a couple times when I wouldn't get a good exit, but I was still able to keep up down the straight to keep guys either near me in the front or at least keep alongside them. So it was definitely a lot to do with the setup today.
All right, I know you are absolutely winded, so I'll give you just one last question or actually two more questions before we go ahead and let you go. It is VIR next week, so what are your thoughts on that circuit?
I think that one's going to be tough. It's a narrow course that in real world IMSA they don't even put the same classes on track. That one's usually just a GT3 only weekend, so I think it's going to be a really tough one to share, but we've done it before and it ends up being a lot of fun. We haven't had these many drivers, so it's really great to see all the new people we've got in the league and all the growth we've had in the past few months in this season. So having that many more cars on track is definitely going to make it interesting, but I think it's going to be a really good time.
Last question, as always, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Always got to give a thank you to my beautiful wife. Thank you for calling to give me a congratulations as I was doing my burnout. Thank you to my kids for their continued support. I'm looking forward to watching this one back with them. I think we had a lot of really good battles. Thank you to Chris, Peter, and Tyler. You guys, that was an awesome battle. I had a lot of fun racing with you guys. Can't wait to do it again next week.
All right, thank you, and congratulations on the GT3 Pro win, and boy, did you deserve it.
Thank you, boys.
And last but not least, let's pull in Parker Chiapuzzo. Parker, first off, man, great run. We didn't see a lot from you back in GT3 AM today, which is usually a good thing. Talk me through your race. Kind of how'd it go for you back there?
Thank you, guys. I think had a good qualifying. I was struggling a bit to put a lap together in practice, but then finally put 2 decent laps together in qualifying and started ahead of a chunk of the AM field. And I think got a little lucky at the start and avoided some incidents behind, and was able to kind of keep up with the back of the pro field. And it was more of a quiet race. Didn't have a ton of people around aside from traffic, but it was a good one. Was able to stay consistent with the lap times and not make any big mistakes.
Yeah, Parker, it was a lot of fun to watch, man. And I've got to ask, how are you feeling about next week at VIR?
I love VIR as a track. I unfortunately am going to have to use my drop week next week. I'm heading out of town. But excited to come back and finish out the season after that.
Absolutely, man. And just thinking about the final couple races of the season, Hockenheim Ring, and then the 90 minutes around Indy. How are you feeling about the final couple rounds? And I'm going to go ahead and ask, are you planning on being back next season?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. I mean, I've been hanging around EOR for quite a few seasons at this point. So can't even think about going elsewhere or trying a different league. But no, excited for the last two races. I think the AM championship is going to be really close. We've kind of been battling back and forth between a handful of guys up at the front. So I'm excited.
It is extremely close, man. Patrick, before I let you go, anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Wanted to thank you guys for putting together a great broadcast. Wanted to thank the other people in the league for showing up and racing clean and having a good race every week. And thanks to my dog for not barking at me while I was racing today. It's always a win.
Absolutely, man. Congratulations, and we'll catch up with you later, man.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Well, Patrick, what a race. I don't know what else to say other than what a race. That was something else.
I mean, I know we say this just for just about pretty much every single race, but I mean, it's just always true. Every time we come back here, we get another contender for a race of the season. I mean, especially in GT3. I mean, so many excellent battles. I mean, you had all the battles in GT3 Pro. I mean, involving like the likes of Callum Tobin, Paul Knight Sr., Tyler Stenek. I mean, so many incredible drivers having so many incredible battles that, I mean, it was really hard to take your eyes off of this GT3 field today. So, I mean, I got to give a lot of kudos to our GT3 Pro drivers for putting on a mighty fine show here today, as well as our very fantastic drivers in GT3 AM and LMP2.
Absolutely. It was so much fun to watch all the way through as they went. And again, Paul Nye Sr. with just a drive of his life, has to be said, going through there. Big shout out to everyone as always, and a big thank you to everyone who has stuck around through the broadcast. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all of the fun things to help us get towards 1,800 subscribers. We just need a little bit of help to get there. This was, again, such a fun one, and I'm so thankful to get to do this week after week. But be sure to join us Sunday for Triple Bypass Racing. They are kicking off their season number 9, I believe it is, for Triple Bypass Racing. They'll be kicking that off Sunday night with round 1 of the Cup Series. So you can join me and Corey Silva there. And then next week, again, it's VIR here for Elbows Out. But that is going to be where we send things off into the sunset this week here, Patrick. So much fun, man. I lost my train of thought. This was just such a good race.
100%. Yeah, I mean, Road Atlanta is a track that rarely fails to deliver, and it did not disappoint here tonight. I am so looking forward to next week.
Absolutely. And on behalf of Patrick, on behalf of everyone here at Elbows Out Racing who allows us to bring their league to the limelight here, we've taken you start to finish this week. We've taken you start to finish week after week. Be sure to join us next week where we'll take you start to finish yet again. Good night.